If you are used to the master classes and being a part of BOP over the years, you know where I'm going to start. So I'm going to start calling on a couple of you to have big wins. And so I know that Mark's ready for a big win. I know Jim's ready for a big win. Nicole, you better be ready for a big win. And we're going to talk a little bit about big wins. For us here at BOP, big stands for begin in gratitude. And so I'm one of the coaches on the team, Doug Barrett, and I'll be leading today's masterclass on drowning in to-dos. Really, really excited that you have joined us, that you have just bought this time for yourself and investing in yourself. And so where we always start is beginning in gratitude. And so, Mark, I'm going to call on you in a second to give us a big win. Jim, I'm going to call on you as well. But one thing I want you to do is go ahead and open up your chat right now. And I just want you to throw something in there. What are you thankful for, especially as we come into this Easter weekend and a lot of families getting ready for spring break? What is something that you are grateful for, there's gratitude about, you're thankful for, celebration in the workplace? Mark, you ready? Coming off mute, give me a big win, man.
We just implemented the scorecards, and it has been a game changer.
Let's go.
It is brought the clarity that we had been lacking, and so we got the dedicated job roles, and then the scorecards that go with them. And my guys were like, "We didn't even realize we needed this," and now they've got it, and they're loving it. So big
That's
win.
awesome. Great job, dude. Way to implement. That's the big win right there for us coaches. You know, we get to see our clients implementing game-changing tools and templates. Thanks, man. That's a huge win. I'm going to use that the rest of the day. Jim, you got a big win for us, man?
Well, I don't know if I have a big win. I'm working on getting my car counts up for my oil change business. Each month I tend to lose less money than the previous, so that's going in the right direction. But I do have a great team that's dedicated, and right now we're just waiting for cars to come in so we can get to work.
Hey, listen, I love it. I love it whenever owners celebrate teams and employees. And I'm going to share with you guys as we get started here, and we're going to jump into some of a bunch of stuff. But here's a big win for you. And I jumped into this. This is my daughter and I just a couple of weekends ago out on a trail. I'm on Rowdy. I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing that I'm on a horse named Rowdy. She was on a horse named Gideon. And so I'm not quite sure what they were going to do, but Kendall and I had an absolute ball just spending time for the things that matter most. And if somebody were to ask me, Doug, what is it that you do at Business on Purpose? This is it right here. Liberating owners from chaos to make time for these things like riding horses with your daughter because it's what matters most. So today we are jumping into this whole idea of I cannot believe that I am having to deal with fill in the blank. Have you ever found yourself in some sort of a season where you're sitting back at your desk and you're literally asking yourself, why in the world am I having to deal with this? Why am I having to respond to this? Why am I having to react to this? Why am I having to get up and go over to this? And you just find yourself in this season where you're just pulled from task to task to task to task to task. And at the end of the day, you sit down and you look at your to do list and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got so much to do and there's no time. I don't know about you, but I found myself in this season a lot where I just can't believe that I'm having to deal with all of this. And then I realized the chaos that I was in. And so creating the structure is what we're going after today, because on the other side of that structure that you really desire is freedom and peace. So, one of the things that we're going to talk about is this, because some of us are in a busy season. We just entered quarter two and we didn't meet our quarter one sales goal. Some of us are building out a new strategic plan, and we recognize that this market is going to continue to shift. Some of us are dealing with tariffs. We're dealing with customs. We're giving of ourselves, giving of ourselves, giving of ourselves, and we feel like our team just keeps taking and taking and taking and taking. We just had a leader quit. Maybe it was somebody who got sick or needs to have a surgery this summer, and there was no warning and there was no notice. And all of a sudden, they are gone and your team is just tail spinning. Some of you would say, if we were having a conversation, you would just look at me and say, Doug, I got to be honest. I'm just drowning. I'm not even sure how to keep my head above water. I'm not even sure I can continue to tread water carrying all this weight that I'm currently carrying. Because here's a pain point that I want us to be really real about. Sometimes we are juggling too many balls, and those balls just do not have a home. I think it's probably understandable at times for us whenever we're owners and we're looking at our schedule and we're looking at our teams. And just like Mark talked about, we're looking at our scorecards and our checklist and our key performance indicators, and we're looking at all of these things. But many times it just comes down to the fact that there's just not enough time for the tasks that need to be done. Welcome to work. That's what work defined is. And that's a world that we live in. It's a world that we get to be in. It's an opportunity every day to grow through. And so I don't want to belabor this point any more than I already have, but I want you to know, first and foremost, I empathize with you on this. And I also want you to know that you are not alone. I bet you if we did a survey of everybody that's on this masterclass today, that every one of us have been in these seasons where we just feel like we're juggling so much. So if you continue to do what you've been doing, then you will continue to feel what you are currently feeling. I'm going to give you a second to write that down. If you came to this masterclass without a pen and a paper, then pull out your phone. But before you pull out your phone, I need you to turn off your email, your text messages, your phone message, put it on airplane mode so that nobody can distract you from this time. But write this down. If you continue to do what you've been doing, then you will continue to feel what you are feeling. I've heard it said, if you continue to do what you've been doing, you will continue to see the results that you are currently seeing. I have a health coach in my life that is a tremendous friend of mine that has taught me that whenever I step on that scale every morning, one of the first things that I do, that scale has no feelings. Those numbers have no feelings. It's just telling me the result of what I did, not just the last 24 hours, but the last 72 hours in my nutrition, my hydration, my movement, my exercise. So if we continue to do what we've been doing, then you're going to continue to feel what you are feeling. So today's masterclass, the goal of this class is to focus on you becoming the driving force. Some of us have heard said the dominant force. Some of us have done dispersonalities and we recognize that we're high Ds. We've got dominant personalities in us. But why is it that our business seems to be driving us instead of us driving our business? Why is it that my schedule is not driving where I want it to drive? Because we're not driving by our why. I like to say it this way: drive by your why. So just for a moment, I want to pause right here and I want to ask the question, why do you do what you do? Oh, Doug, that's way too big of a question. You can't ask that on a masterclass. No, seriously, I'm going to ask this question again. Why do you do what you do? We don't have enough time to sit and reflect on all those answers. But I just want you to write the question down. Why do you do what you do? And maybe sometime this weekend, take a few minutes to just break away and just ask yourself, man, why did I do that? Why did I feel that I needed to respond to that fire that was burning, or that problem, or that issue, or that knock on the door behind me, and all of a sudden somebody busts in with their agenda, their issue, their concern? One of the things that we talk with our clients about a lot is that as an owner, some of our greatest leadership transitions occur whenever we deliberately do not answer and do not respond to a question that we 100% know the answer to. I'm going to say it again. Deliberately not answering a question that we 1000% know the answer to. Why? Because not everything is our agenda. One of the things that we believe here at Business on Purpose is that vision, mission, unique core values, that is the foundation of the business that you are growing, leading, developing, scaling, maybe one day selling. And it comes back to this question. Not only do we need to know where we're going and when we're going to get there, vision, but we also need to know those guardrails is how do we get there, unique core values. But then at the very, very bottom of this is why am I doing it and how am I doing it? So that's where I want us to put our blinders on today. And I want us spend a little bit of time, because here's the deal. We got to stop making excuses. Like, we just got to stop making excuses. And there's a fine line between excuse and explanation. But again, if we keep doing what we're doing, then we're going to keep feeling what we feel. And so we know that the law of compounding is real. It's a beast. It's either going to serve you or it's going to starve you. We've heard it all said that compounding is like the eighth wonder of the world. So let me just remind you of the story that you've heard. Because if we stay in bad compounding, it's going to continue to get way worse. And if we keep that good mindset or we look at that optimism, it's going to continue to get way better. Here's the deal. This is a penny. Everybody knows this is a penny. It's been a penny since its creation. It's worth 1 cent. Or is it? Because if that 1 penny compounds and doubles every day for 30 days, that 1 cent becomes $5.3 million. Compounding is the eighth wonder of the world. And right now, what's happening is our tasks are compounding towards growth, compounding towards stress, compounding towards friction, compounding towards conflict, compounding towards synergy, unity, whatever it is. So, have you ever lived without a home? Most of us haven't. Most of us haven't lived without a place to live or a home to live in. Many of us have lived on the road, traveled a lot. We spent a lot of nights in the hotels. I don't know about you, but if I'm in a hotel for longer than 4 days, like I'm completely out of it. Like there is something that's so wrong with living out of a suitcase for so many days. My wife and I are getting ready to take our kids on a spring break here this next week. And I'm going to be honest with you. This morning on our walk, on our run, this is exactly what we talked about. Because yes, we're going to have a home to live in for the next week, but the reality is we've got to guard our routines. And so one of the things that I want to come back to is routine, routine, routine. We're in the middle of spring here in Charlotte. It is in full bloom. Everything is green. Everybody's getting ready to go to the beach next week, and everybody's looking forward to summer. We can feel the heat on us, but I know what every parent says at the end of July. I am ready for routine. And for us that still have kids in the house, oh my gosh, how valuable are those routines? How healthy are those routines? And so at BOP, we've got a core value where we believe that work and life necessarily intersect. I know a lot of us have grown up in cultures where we feel like there needs to be two different worlds. There's a work space and a life space. Some of us have been going after the work-life balance, which is one of the greatest lies, I think, in all of humanity. But there is this necessary intersection between our work, family, friends, community, organizations we love, charities we love to support, and life, all of those things that I just named. And so the reality is this for all of us, I want us to go into this. There's a song that I thought of since 1994. And I'm going to read these lyrics to you, and I'm going to see if you can remember where the lyrics come from. It said, I woke up this morning, my head felt dense. I splashed it with water trying to make it make sense. I stumbled to the kitchen. In this complicated world, it may sound absurd, but simple little things are the miracle cure. I'm pushed to the limit. I'm standing at the brink, and all she's got to do is give me that. Everybody should know the next word, and it's not ideal weekly schedule. All she's got to do is give me that wink. I remember whenever I first heard that, some of us, I just went back to middle school. Some of us went back to high school. Some of us have like, what the heck is this guy doing at Business on Purpose? Like coming up with song lyrics. Neil McCoy, not technically Neil McCoy's song. Don DePiro and Tom Shapiro are actually the ones that helped him to write that song. But we know that song as Wink. All she's got to do is give me that wink. But here's the thing, simple little things are the miracle cure. What I'm about to share with you is not some mind-blowing science, but this is a call. This is a, hey, wake up. Let's get back to the simple little things of an ideal weekly schedule. It's not a novel thing, but it's an absolute necessity. We live in a desperate world. I think that every morning we turn on our favorite news station, we see more and more desperation. But this is what we all want. We want peace at work. We want peace in our family. We want peace in our relationships. We want peace in our task. We want peace in our office. And so the ideal weekly schedule is a tool that we use to not get derailed. I believe this is a picture of what a lot of our schedules look like. This is a picture of what a lot of our weeks look like. And for some of those that are all standing around and looking around, this is a very, very traumatic scene. And I'll be honest, I think for a lot of our teams and of a lot of our employees, a lot of our key strategic leaders, this is the scene that they stumble upon often in our schedules. So here's what I want to talk about. Of all those tasks that are a part of your role, both at work and home, they need a home. They need a rail. They need a place where they are going to run smoothly. And if they're not fed, and if you don't spend time with them, and if you don't leave them alone, they are going to continue to just take and take and take and take and take. So let's dive into one of our favorite tools and templates at Business on Purpose called the Ideal Weekly Schedule. First thing, let's get a little bit of clarity going. What is yours and what is not yours? I think that as owners, oftentimes we feel that everything is ours. Not true. I'm going to ask it again. What is yours and what is not yours? Think of all the tasks that are currently on your to-do list. What are those of you that are yours and what are those that are not yours? Email. Can we just talk about it for a second? I know that Scott Beebe, our owner, actually feels that it might be something of the devil or evil or Satan, and I think it might be true. But here's one thing that we all agree on. Your inbox is someone else's agenda. Yep, you're going to write that down too. Your inbox is someone else's agenda. What is yours is yours. What is theirs is theirs. Some of you that were on the beginning of this call, you heard Mark talk about scorecards. Scorecards are one of the greatest tools to help you clarify what is yours, CEO scorecard, owner scorecard. What is not yours, sales director scorecard, operations director scorecard, labor scorecard, roofer scorecard, whatever it is inside of your business, clearly defining what is yours and what is not yours is absolutely critical for you coming back to that place of peace. All of us get these things every single day. They're called notifications. Recently, I had to delete my Gmail app from my iPhone because it kept glitching. And so all of a sudden I took it off and I brought it back to my phone. And I got a little pop-up that said, "Would you like to enable notifications?" I stupidly said yes. Now I can look at my phone, and at this moment, there are 2,436 little red bubbles. Now, here's the thing about this. The tech companies are not distracting us. I'm going to say this again. The tech companies are not distracting us. We are receiving the notifications. Every time we go to our inbox, every time we respond to a notification, bell, alarm, anything, we are choosing to receive that notification, which is doing exactly what the tech companies have designed them to do, to push their agenda, their attention, and we receive it. So do we have a notification issue or do we have a receiving issue? Again, being the driving force, dominant force of our schedule, we got to turn these suckers off. Some of you have been distracted for the last 20 minutes because your notifications keep pinging as long as I'm talking, and it's pulling your attention. It is now said that on average, for every distraction, it takes you 27 minutes to come back to a place of focus. 27 minutes. How many times do you get distracted in a day? 10? 12? If you get distracted 10 times a day and it takes you 27 minutes to get back on task, to get back on focus, that's 4.5 hours a day of distraction. I don't know about you, but it's time to turn off that notification and start to ask the question, why and how am I going to drive this schedule? Here's what I know. You can do this. Absolutely. We've seen countless owners, countless key leaders implement this simple tool because this is all about simplicity. Go back to your why. What drives you out of bed in the morning, and making sure that what it is that drives you is what it is that you are driven to and going after every single day. So your ideal weekly schedule looks like this. What are those immovable, absolute big rocks that must be present? What are those movable, smaller rocks, smaller tasks? Maybe not necessarily in time because they compound, but they're things that we can move around. An immovable would be a team meeting. An immovable would be a finance meeting. An immovable would be a executive leader meeting. An immovable would be a lunch date with your spouse. An immovable would be a team meeting or a coaching meeting with your coach. Those are immovable rocks that we are saying, hey, this is absolute priority. We are not willing to miss. Those movables, accounts payable, account receivable, invoicing, payroll, right? Those things can be moved around in your schedule. And then there's also these other things that we call negotiable. So whenever we start to think about the immovable, movable, and negotiable, it starts to look like this. And you're like, oh my gosh, Doug, I waited 22 minutes for a spreadsheet? Yup, I told you it was a novel. Here's how we coach it. Every day, Monday through Friday, you can see that there's column G, Saturday. There's actually a next column, Sunday, because guess what? Day is day. Some of us have all 7 days scripted out. But the key is this. Let's create some work blocks that are immovable. Maybe the team meeting cannot be moved. Maybe there's a owner's lunch meeting cannot be moved. Maybe this billing right here before we leave the day on Friday cannot be moved. I appreciate the fact that BOP clients have it on their calendar that their one-on-one coaching calls and work cannot be moved. Guess what? All this other stuff can be moved around. It's still absolute priority, and it still takes up a greater part of our day or our week, but it's stuff that we can shift around. Then we also have those negotiables. Look at the white space in your calendars. I meet a lot of clients and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't keep up with my calendar, my schedule. It's too full." And I'm like, "Yeah, because you don't have any margin. You've got to be able to move things that come up into spaces of margin." So we know that margin is a valuable resource. Remember, what is rare is valuable. Another thing to write down, what is rare is valuable. If your time is freely accessible, then your time is not nearly as valuable. So when someone comes to you with, hey, is there any way, Olivia, that I could sit down with you for 30 minutes to walk through a priority? You can say, absolutely, I've got a slot at 1 o'clock on Mondays, or maybe we can catch each other for, lunch on Thursday at 12 o'clock, or lunch on Wednesday at 12 o'clock, because you have margin set in your schedule that allows you to take that priority call, that priority meeting, respond to that priority email. Oh, by the way, I want to make it really, really clear. If you don't have your email inbox on your schedule, you are allowing everybody else's agenda to drive your schedule. Maybe there's a time first thing in the morning, 7 o'clock, you check all of your emails, you check your Slack, you check your text messages, and you respond. Maybe at noon, just like this client, there's an email slot where they check their email at noon and they respond. And then at 4:30, they check their email to make sure there's nothing else that took place in the afternoon that they need to respond to before going home, so that when they get home, they can be home, that they can be present. Again, what is rare is valuable. How are you creating margin in your schedule to be able to respond to those tasks, to those needs, to those priorities of your team that can't be surprised that they're going to pop up? Dan Miller used to say this: if you're not paying, you're not paying attention. And so one of the things that we used to do is we used to give these tools and templates out all freely, and we still love to give away tools and templates. But the reality is this: if you're not paying, you're not paying attention. So we're going to make you pay with something far greater than money: your time. So one of the things that we want to talk about with you is that there's a powerful way to get this tool, because vision without implementation is hallucination. You can sit here for the next couple of minutes and you can just think, oh my gosh, how awesome would that be? I've never thought about work blocks. I've never thought about many days. I've never thought about big rocks, little rocks, movable rock. I've never thought about any of this. And it just becomes a hallucinating thing and a compounding thing. So one of the things that we would like to do here at Business on Purpose is we want to come alongside of you to help you implement. One of the ways that we do that is through Zoom meetings. We have a one-on-one coaching playbook that I'd love to walk you through if you want to know more about our program. But at the same time, I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to be able to be exposed to our proprietary roadmap. Yes, we all have the same pain points around purpose, profit, people, and process. But here's the deal: if you want to spend a little bit of time with myself, what I would love for you to do is I want you to stay on the call for the next couple of minutes. We're actually going to come off of mute. I'm actually going to interact with you a little bit more. I know that some of you blocked 30 minutes and I want to honor your 30-minute commitment. But here's the reality: I want you to implement. I want you to take what you've written down and I want you to start thinking about, how can I make sure that I am running my business, I am running my schedule, and my business and my schedule are not running me? How can I create time blocks where I can prioritize, where I can be of greater presence, not only to my team, to my leaders, to my family, to my spouse, but the presence that you are able to provide because of the piece that you are creating in the structure of an ideal weekly schedule. I just can't tell you how important it is to me. This is what us as coaches at BOP, our entire coaching team, the accountability around an ideal weekly schedule. And we didn't even talk about 12-week plans, and we didn't even talk about delegation roadmap. So there's a lot of things that we can jump right into. Here's 2 QR codes: the coaching application if you'd like to know more about coaching, or a healthy owner's assessment. But for those of you that would love to spend some time with me, 15 to 30 minutes, we're going to schedule a time together where we actually dive in. I will give this template to you. I'll bring this tool to you. I'll share some more details with you, answer any questions that you have. That's what I want to offer you today. So for those of you that bought 30 minutes of your time, thank you for scheduling this. It's always good to see several of our clients on here. For those of you that want to know more or want to connect with me so that we can talk more through the tool of the ideal weekly schedule, that's what I'd love for you guys to do. So I'm going to say goodbye because I'm up against my time. For the rest of you that want to meet with me, stay on here and we'll come off of mute and we'll have a little chat back and forth. Thank you guys for being here. I hope that you have an incredible Easter, and thanks for joining us for the masterclass on Ideal Weekly Schedule.